Hello, good morning. Welcome once more to our lectures in philosophy of religion. Remember again, we are focused this time on the problem of evil. Last week we discussed theories of evil. We mentioned the Zoroaster's theory and aesthetic theory. Today we discuss three more theories of evil. By theory of evil, again, we mean philosophers attempt to answer the question, why is there evil in the world? Those responses they gave are what are generally called theories of evil. They are trying to explain why are there diseases, why are there problems, poverty, injustice, and so on and so forth. So their theories, their responses, their explanations are called theories of evil. The first one we discussed today is called Plotinus' theory of evil. Plotinus, we know, was a later ancient philosopher or an early medieval philosopher. For Plotinus, everything in the world is a product of emanation. By emanation, we mean proceeding from another. Proceeding from another. Example, light emanates from the sun. The very nature of the sun, once the sun exists, there is light. Light emanates from the sun. So for Plotinus, God is the source of everything, and everything emanates from God. God is the source of everything, and everything emanates from God. The first hierarchy of emanation from God is called the mind. The mind. The second, in the level of hierarchy of emanation, is called the world, the physical world. The third in hierarchy of emanation is called the human soul, while the fourth is matter. So we have the mind, the world, the human soul, and matter. These are the four levels of emanation according to Plotinus. And the more distant each of these levels is from God, the nearer it is to evil. So, from the mind, the world, the human soul, and matter for Plotinus is darkness. Matter is evil. So, the nearer one is to the mind, the nearer one is to good. The nearer one is to the material world, the nearer one is to evil. So, for Plotinus, evil is simply a function of nearness to matter, getting nearer to the material world. The nearer we are to the material life or to the life of the flesh, to use the language of the church, the more evil we experience. It's simple. Those who overeat suffer consequences of that act. Those who are gluttons, those who eat everything, drink everything they see, are usually sick more than those who are selective and who are disciplined in the way they eat. Those who have no self-control usually suffer more than those who have more self-control. So for Plotinus, the reason for evil is that man has channeled his attention away from God to the material world. And for man to reduce evil in the world, Plotinus says man's attention should be channeled to God, and that will reduce evil. So the closer one gets to the matter, the more evil he experiences. Those who are spiritually minded, those who are intellectually minded, those who are inclined to the inner life, experience less tension associated with evil. Those who are inclined to the material external world experience more tension. The solution for Plotinus is moving away from the material to the spiritual. Okay. The next theory is called privative theory. This theory is traceable to Plato through Plotinus, then to Augustine. Augustine actually gave privative theory a very wide acclaim. However, for one to understand Augustine's privative theory, it's important to comment a little on Augustine's background that influenced his thoughts and beliefs. Augustine, in his quest for ultimate truth, experimented with different ideologies and beliefs of different sects. One of such sects was Manichaeism. Augustine had brushes with different sects, different opinions, different ideas and theories and philosophies of his time in search of truth. One of such people he spent some time with was the Manichaeans. The Manichaeans in philosophy are generally known for dualism. By dualism, they mean that there are two major principles in existence. However, after Augustine's conversion, he got discontented with the Manichaeans' theory of dualism and offered a critique of the Manichaeans. His critique is what is known as the privative theory of evil. In his privative theory, he argued that evil is privation, corruption, or perversion of something good. For Augustine, everything God created is good, as the scriptures declared. Everything God created, the world, human beings. But evil comes to be through corruption of the good. When, for instance, a fabric maker makes a white cloth and is kept somewhere, the white cloth remains good, fine and beautiful, until someone throws dirt on it. So for Augustine, evil is diminishing the natural state of the creatures of God. Augustine thought that evil has no independent existence, but is always parasitic upon good, which alone has substantial being. So Augustine disagreed with Manichaeans because the Manichaeans believe that there are two principles, the principle of good and the principle of darkness, or what we call in religion, God and evil. The Manichaeans believe that these two, God has been there from the beginning, evil has been there from the beginning. These two parallel evil has been there, contesting, struggling for the fate of man. But Augustine said no, that the only principle that has been there from the beginning is God. So that evil has no independent existence. Evil feeds on good. Nothing evil for Augustine exists in itself, but only as evil aspect of some actual entities. Thus, everything that God has created is good, and the phenomenon of evil occurs only when a being which is intrinsically good becomes corrupt and spoiled. How does the corruption of God's infinitely good creation come about? Augustine answered that evil has entered into the universe through the culpable volitions of free creatures, that is man. Man's sin consisted not only in choosing positive evil, but in turning away from the higher good, namely God, to a lower God. So, for Augustine, evil exists because man has forgotten God. You see, Augustine's theory has some resemblance with Plotinus. Of course, we know that the Plato-Plotinus-Augustine tradition is one tradition. Plotinus is a Neo-Platonist, and Augustine is a medieval Neo-Platonist also. So they have the same tradition of understanding. Remember that in Plato, the good is the summum bonum, the highest good. Every other thing below is less in essence than the good. So while Plotinus said that everything proceeds from emanation and the material is darkness and evil, Augustine said that turning away from God, that is privation, is the source of evil. Of course, Augustine's theory has received different criticisms, but that's a story for another day. The next for today is what we call the free will theory. According to its author James Kay, in his work Free Will and the Problem of Evil, the free will is man's nature, and his exercise of his freedom results in the state of affairs of human society. Again, for James Kay, man, since it has been, most philosophers has generally agreed, of course, that's the basis of morality, that man is free. Therefore, the state of every human society is the product of the choices man has made through his freedom. If members of a particular society, for instance, our school, Croatian Institute of Philosophy, if the members, the residents in this institution make good choices with regard to cleanliness, the school will be clean. If they make poor choices with regard to cleanliness, the school will be dirty. So for James K., evil is simply anywhere there is injustice, anywhere there is disease, anywhere there is death, anywhere there is imperfection, it is nothing but a function of choices made. Once man makes good use of his freedom, evil will diminish, according to James K. Of course, there are versions of this free will defense, but the simple theory is that for him, for evil to reduce, man should learn to use his freedom or free will very, very well. Thank you very much. By next time, we continue.